I'm Trevor Alonzo. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to review a book. Cassandra Peterson's Autobiography, Yours Cruelly, Elvira, Memoirs of the Mistress of the Dark. Yes, the autobiography about the hostess with the mostess. Some of you may think this is about the character Elvira, but it goes deeper than that. This follows Cassandra's life, which she did a lot before becoming Elvira. That's not to say Elvira fans won't enjoy this. As you read this, you can really get the whole backstory to Elvira. Cassandra Peterson lives an amazing life. I am a fan and knew some of the stuff, but I didn't know the whole entire story. It's hard to say spoilers since it's a life story of a celebrity. So much of her life is already out there. The book is not for the faint of heart. Cassandra does not pull back the punches when writing. She puts it all out there, the good and the bad. The book starts with her getting a call to come audition for a horror host. Then it goes to her growing up, which unfortunately includes her being badly burned all over her body, and the pain of her recovery for years. This did make Cassandra feel like an outsider, which led to her identifying with horror monsters, most notably Frankenstein. Cassandra's love for horror started with Vincent Price's House on Haunted Hill. Vincent Price would eventually become her friend. Ann-Margret was one of her idols. So a big story when this was published is that Cassandra came out at the end of the book. She was relieved not to hide this anymore. She was out of the closet, or coffin, which is fine, whatever makes you happy. But not too many stories were mentioning the amazing stuff of her life. There was more to this book than just that. I want to say every single thing about this book, but I want people to read this, so I have to leave some mystery. Cassandra is a huge Beatles fan. I am too. She was such a big Beatles fan that she actually got a haircut as a teenager. Now, I have searched the internet. We need to find out if this still exists. As an Elvira fan and a Beatles fan, we need to find a picture of her with a Beatles haircut, if it exists. She started go-go dancing as a teenager. She danced on stage with a lot of bands, one of which was The Who. She was a groupie, but she was known as the Virgin Groupie. Meeting rock stars left and right, she became the youngest showgirl in Vegas. I don't know if she still has the record. Cassandra did say that the movie Casino is the closest to how Vegas was at that time. Cassandra struggled for years to become an actress, going from audition to audition to audition, meeting celebrity after celebrity along the way. Some people have described this book as a sexy Forrest Gump, with the fact that she meets so many people throughout time, celebrities coming in and out of her life. Elvis was a big influence on her, even giving her advice to leave Vegas, not to get stuck in this town forever. So she did everything she could to get out. Cassandra at one point lived in a treehouse. That's right, a treehouse. From the book's description, it's a pretty big treehouse on Sunset Boulevard, because the guy she was dating played Tarzan and it went to his head. This is another thing I've looked for. I have looked for the pictures of this online. I haven't found any. Again, if anybody has seen this, please share it. We need to see this, or recreate this. At one point, Cassandra and her husband lived in a literal haunted house. Yes, an actual haunted house, where she describes multiple weird things happening. They did learn that Mark Hamill had lived there before. Mark Hamill did say that somebody killed themselves in one of the rooms. So immediately Cassandra and her husband put the house on the market. Brad Pitt ended up wanting it, and then he actually wanted the place that they moved into after that. Now, as I said before, this book isn't for the faint of heart. Bad times do happen. Through most of her life, Cassandra was abused mentally from her mother for her scars. She felt like an outsider. She became very self-conscious most of her life, even though she looked beautiful. At one point, Cassandra was dating a guy that she caught stealing. When she confronted him, he told her to keep her mouth shut, then locked her in a rented basement apartment for days to basically die. What saved her was his partner came, unlocked the door, and said, "Run." So she didn't take any chances and she just ran. Cassandra did open up about the constant sexual harassment she has gotten. Unfortunately, the dark side of the industry. Cassandra did open up about being molested. Cassandra wrote, "It took time to realize it's not her fault." Cassandra did write about her time in the Groundlings. And of course, she wrote about becoming the horror hostess. going into audition, being the only one not to dress up. She improvised her audition. Of course, we know that she got the part. Originally, she was to be the new Vampira, but the original pulled the rights literally the day of filming the first episode. So, names were put into a hat. Elvira was chosen. Cassandra did write about the ups and downs of becoming Elvira, making 2 movies. Cassandra opened up about trying to get pregnant, and unfortunately having miscarriages, before having her daughter. She wrote about her unfortunate divorce to her husband, and of course, falling in love with Teresa T. Weirson. I do believe this book does have a theme, whether it's intentional or not. I think it's about self-confidence. She is constantly believing the abuse from people, constantly worried she doesn't look good, or she isn't talented enough, even though she looks amazing and can sing and act. I'm not ashamed to say, I actually cried when I finished this book. I really didn't expect to, but it had so much emotion, especially at the end. Cassandra opened up and said this was therapeutic, to write and get everything out. She was lucky to make it through so much. I didn't mention a lot, only because I want some stuff to be unspoiled for you when you read this. This is now one of my favorite autobiographies. Some biographies fly up until they're famous, and then it's just about them being famous from then until now. Some biographies are like, Chapter 1, born, raised here, went to high school, went to college. Chapter 2, now I'm a baseball player. This one gives you all the details. Cassandra lived a whole life before becoming Elvira. Again, this doesn't mean Elvira fans won't like this. In fact, real fans will probably love this. I recommend this for any Elvira fan, obviously. I recommend this for horror fans. You will feel a sense of connection to it. I recommend this for any woman trying to make it in Hollywood, just so they can read how hard it is to become famous. So, that's why I give this book a 10 out of 10, usually I do a theme with my ratings. What should I do? It's Elvira. Maybe 2 things. Wait a minute. I got it! A 10 out of 10 coffins. Go check it out. I was lucky enough to get an autographed copy. So, this is really cool. Thank you for watching my video.
Say, unpleasant dreams.